Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So the movie Life came out in 2017 and was directed by Daniel Espinosa and is a space isolation alien horror film starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds and Rebecca Ferguson. Any sci-fi horror that comes out is going to get compared to Alien, and it always happens. And I saw this film was often accused of copying Alien too much, but I do disagree. This film takes on a much more realistic approach and I think it works really great. I absolutely love this movie. My main flaw is that some more time could have been given to the characters. Like, we know enough to care about them, and they do feel like real people, but they just aren't as in-depth as they could be. So let's start with the CGI effects. Amazing. From the general satellite and to Earth and to Calvin the alien itself, the CGI is really realistic and convincing. So Calvin is the antagonist of the film technically, but I mean something unique about this film that makes it all the more real is that Calvin isn't killing people because he is a douche and just hates the crew. He needs to do that to survive. This film also can be hard to watch at points, but in a good way. I mean, when Hugh in this movie is like poking at Calvin while he's just really small and trying to wake him up, and he grabs on to and starts breaking his hand, that is absolutely brutal. And then again when it goes down Rory's throat, it made me gag a bit really. But that is a good thing, because that's what it's trying to do, to make you feel the impact, and you really do feel the impact of everything in this film. Speaking of Rory, who is played by Ryan Reynolds, he gives an incredible performance. Even though he isn't in the film for too long, he has his classic Ryan Reynolds humour, but then as he's trying to burn Calvin in the lab, we see him terrified and sweating, and it was horrible, just making us feel that impact so much more and wanting him to survive so much more. And speaking of the acting, everyone in this film hits all the right beats and are just overall great. But the film kind of presents the question to you like, is it their fault for being curious? And when Hugh is trying to wake Calvin back up and interact with it at all, he is being safe with gloves and not being stupid, but are humans too curious? That's a big question I feel like this film presented. On a quick side note, the end of this film was executed so perfectly. I was so shocked. There was a moment in my head as everything was going on where I thought, wait, they're not going to do this, are they? Because I didn't know anything about a sequel, and I thought if they were going to end it how they did, there would be a sequel. But I'm not going to spoil it, because it is a must-see. But it is amazing. It is executed so well, due to editing and performances, and it's just so well done. I want to see how the people deal with what happened, but I also am fine with them just leaving it as it is and leaving it to the imagination. So while I'd love to see a sequel, I'd also be perfectly fine with them never making one. So yeah. And the time where we don't know where Calvin is and he's just somewhere on the ship, that was some of the most suspenseful and scary parts, because we've seen what it can do now, we know it's getting bigger, but we don't know where it is. But really, I mean, they found this species on Mars, and it is a real thing, and I can see this 100% happening in my lifetime. That is probably the film's biggest strength, the realism and the fact of Calvin needing to eat, not just for the sake of it, to survive. Those are the biggest things that make this horror stand out to me, the realistic aspect. This is one of the best sci-fi horror isolation films I've ever seen, and I highly recommend you watch it. I give this film an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of Life in the comments. I think I liked it more than a lot of people, but I don't know, it's just a really good film in my opinion. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next one.